Yet, or how long you've been doing it, it's still very, very special to see your name and hear your name called. You just cannot, absolutely cannot take making this tournament for granted. Question may be why, why a 9 seed? A couple things. First of all, if you look at the body of work, our analytics were 32 in the net, which kind of puts you in the 8 line. And then all of our metrics were that or below. And then might ask, well, why is that? When we, had as many losses as we did. We played 6 non-conference teams that were in the field. That's the most that Auburn's ever played. And so that's by choice. So by beating Colgate and Texas Southern and Northwestern and playing Memphis and USC and West Virginia, we helped ourselves. And then we played 13 NCAA tournament teams. The most Auburn's ever played was 10. So it was a very tough schedule, which I think is very, very important. I think the other thing, in addition to that, was the fact that even in our losses, particularly at Tennessee or at Texas A&M or at Alabama, we were extremely competitive. And now with the new metrics, you do get rewarded for how you play, not just whether you win. And so I'm very proud of the team for making the tournament, putting ourselves in this position. This team, including our summer trip to Israel, logged 31,000 miles of travel. Last year's team, for example, only logged 11,000 miles of travel. I think it's been a long year from that standpoint. The trip to Israel, the trip out to the West Coast, the trip to Cancun, the trip to West Virginia. That just there was a lot of travel. And I do think some level of fatigue, particularly as it related to how the tough places that we went to on the road and the competitive games, and these guys continue to get up off the mat and try to win. So very pleased with getting in. Now, our first opponent in Iowa. I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't start a press conference talking about how special it was for me to be at Iowa as an assistant for 6 years. The Hawkeye State is something special. I think people in Alabama, here in the South, would share a lot of things with people in Iowa in the Midwest. 2 great states full of great people, and really important time for me as an assistant coach under Dr. Tom Davis. I still have some great friends there. Matt Gatens, who played for the Hawks, whose dad, Mike Gatens, was one of my best friends in Iowa City, who also played for the Hawks under Lute Olson, was on our staff. So I've already texted Matt and told him I've changed all the play calls and I've changed all my signals and we're not running that anymore and stuff like that. Matt works for a great head coach in Fran McCaffrey. A veteran that's been there and done that, one of the most competitive, hardworking, great family man, great father, great teacher as head coach, and a brilliant offensive tactician. Iowa as a team will be one of the best offensive teams we've played. Number 3 in offensive efficiency. Number 3. They play at the 31st fastest tempo. They make 8 threes a game. They're number 8 in the country at taking care of the ball as far as their assist-turn ratio. They just don't turn it over. They get a shot out before they turn it over. 30th in the nation in assists per field goal, and they're a great offensive rebounding team. Defensively, they do a lot of different things. They're multiple in how they defend. So, just a lot of things, obviously, to prepare for. They got a great player, several great players, but one of mine, and I can't talk. I'm going to do one tomorrow before the players, just so I'll have a little bit more information on their team. But obviously, Chris Murray is a great player, and I recruited his dad, Kenyon Murray, to Iowa, and Kenyon Murray had a great career at Iowa. So there's a lot of meat there. Fourth time, I guess, in 5 years for us to make the tournament, which I think is insignificant. I've always believed in life it's easier to get it going than it is to keep it going. And so I'm glad we have this opportunity. And then finally to be able to be in Birmingham. For our fans and for our students, and I think it's just awesome, and so hopefully we'll get great support and see if we can have a shining moment or two.
Nathan?
First, like you just mentioned, you guys have caught some bad breaks in games this season, but now to catch a good break with having a game just a couple hours down the road, I guess, just what was your reaction when you saw that it was Birmingham, and how excited are the players about that?
Well, we knew that we were going to be somewhere. I felt somewhere between 8 and 10, right? 8, 9, or 10. We were either going to be in the 8, 9, or 10 game. That's kind of where we thought we would be. That's what the analytics said we would be. So we knew that Birmingham was a 8-9 site, and we also knew that Alabama would be there as the one, but because of the pods and the NCAA trying to keep teams more regional, we had a chance to maybe be there. I think my guess is Alabama's probably going to be the night game, and we're going to be the day game. And I think the NCAA, obviously, we got a new building, a big building in Birmingham to fill, and they got a better chance now to fill it with both Alabama and Auburn being in Birmingham together.
Bias?
Well, that kind of leads to what I was going to ask. Obviously, you guys won't match up against each other, but what significance is that for basketball in the state to have both teams playing in Birmingham?
Yeah, I think it's very significant. Congratulations to Alabama being a great champion. They were the best team in our league, and they very well may be the best team in the country. And so I know that both basketball programs have worked really hard at trying to get competitive, and I think there's been a lot talked about the fact that both Auburn and Alabama have become very competitive and winning championships, and so it does mean a great deal to the state. And then right there, you had UAB that played in their championship game and could have been in the field. You had Samford win their regular season. You had, I think Huntsville had a great year. North Alabama had a really good year. Troy had a good year. South Alabama was in the championship game of their tournament. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but I mean there was a lot of really good basketball played in the state of Alabama this year.
Mark Murphy?
Yeah, Coach, what was the players' initial reaction when they found out they're going to Birmingham and playing Iowa?
Well, I think just like when you see your name, and I'm sure Steven will put that out on social media. We just had a little gathering in the locker room. They were excited about hearing their name called, and they don't know much about Iowa. I told them a little bit about Iowa just right off the bat. It was one of the best offensive teams in the country, and there have been times this year where we've been good defensively, but there have been times where we haven't. So we're going to find a way to guard them. But they were very excited.
And I know it's early, and you said you dig into Iowa more later. But is there any team that you guys have played that reminds you of Iowa, or are they just kind of very different with the way they play offense?
I haven't looked at them yet to answer that. I'll know more tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sort of address this, but being in Birmingham, having Alabama and Houston, the top two overall seeds there, it's going to be. You're expecting a really great atmosphere just around the city and everything.
Well, I think that getting the facility. I haven't been in the facility since they've renovated it, but we played up at Legacy We played, UAB there.
St. Louis.
We played
St. Louis.
St. Louis there. We played Middle Tennessee there. And so part of it was to try to, as we were trying to, develop our program and take Auburn basketball around the state, that was part of our thinking. And so, again, I'm happy for our alumni, our students, our fan base to have an opportunity to go and watch some incredible basketball, and know that your team is one of 68 playing for a national championship.
Tobias?
Bruce, do you think the SEC is fairly represented with the bracket, with the teams that got in?
Yeah, getting 8 in is unbelievable. It's that's what we try to get. I mean, that's more than the upper half. And Vandy was probably one of the last teams that didn't make it. Coach Stackhouse did an incredible job. They played great at the end. The body of work is, talk about the body of work, it's important from start to finish. Part of going to Israel and having all those practices, I think, helped us play pretty well early. But it wore us out a little bit. I think that clearly the league is extremely well represented. And, I think there's an adage about there's no great teams. Alabama looks like a great team. Houston looks like a great team, the number 1 seeds. Texas, Kansas. I think the guys in the 1-2 line are probably all thinking that, those are going to be your favorites. But, there are some teams all over this bracket that are capable of making a run because, so therefore we have a lot of teams in the SEC that can advance.
Bert?
Richie said at the beginning the number of non-conference teams y'all played that made the tournament. Just how important was that for y'all to not only get in but get in rather safely, not even near the bubble?
Well, I think give credit to Mike Burgomaster who does our schedule, and we have always tried to play a tough schedule. And look, nobody wants to play your Texas Southerns and your Colgates because they're good enough to beat you. And many of the other teams that we play, who wants to play St. Louis? Meanwhile, St. Louis got to the Final Four of their tournament. And so, again, not being very, Bradley played the championship game of their tournament. Northwestern finished second in the Big Ten. And so while it's, kind of easy to criticize this team for losing as many games as we lost, one of the other thing that was a big factor was we were 19-3 against teams we were favored against. And that means, I can only ask the kids to do what they're capable of doing. And then can they reach up and raise the bar a little bit? And I think we demonstrated we could, not often enough, to be having been able to compete for the regular season championship. But so we're prepared.
Last question, Andy.
How much does it help for most of these guys that they kind of know what the routine is like now for the NCAA tournament? They were there a year ago and they kind of have an idea of what it's going to be like.
I think there's they say that's an advantage, having been there, I know for me losing on Thursday, watching the games on Friday over the weekend, that wasn't any fun. And so, certainly, look, we lost to a good team in Arkansas. And Arkansas could make a run here like they did last year. So it wasn't like we stubbed our toe, but we didn't take advantage of the opportunity. And it didn't feel very good. So got an opportunity here, the road to the Final Four is very difficult, very challenging, but I think they're excited about playing. I think they're still excited about coming to practice tomorrow. We had a good workout yesterday. a hard workout. And then today we gave them off, and we'll get after it the next 2 days. Probably go to class the next 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, and then leave Tuesday after practice and head up to Birmingham.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Thanks, Vicky.